Most people think success starts with money, or talent, or even luck. But the truth is far more uncomfortable. The real gap between the average person and the top 1% is mindset. It's not a little, not somewhat, drastically. They think differently. They respond differently. They choose differently. And if you want to get closer to their level, it starts by upgrading what's going on inside your head. Let me make this clear. The top 1% aren't magical creatures. They weren't born with a secret code. They weren't handed the keys to the universe. They just operate from a completely different mental framework. They don't react to the world, they shape it. They don't wait for permission, they give it to themselves. They don't chase motivation, they build systems that work without it. Most people live life like passengers. They wait for someone else to drive. They hope the ride gets better. Top 1% grab the wheel. If the road's broken, they build a new one. If the weather's rough, they keep moving. They understand a principle most people ignore. You cannot control the world, but you can always control how you respond to it. When something goes wrong, the average person complains, blames, or escapes. The top 1% ask, "What can I learn?" They take full ownership. Even when something wasn't their fault, they'll still take responsibility. Why? Because ownership is power. Blame gives it away. Now here's the next shift. The top 1% value long-term rewards more than short-term comfort. Average people chase dopamine. The next scroll, the next show, the next slice of cake. They want to feel good now. But high performers, they delay gratification like it's an Olympic sport. They understand that discipline today buys freedom tomorrow. They aren't allergic to boredom. In fact, they embrace it. Because they know that mastery doesn't come from doing exciting things once in a while. It comes from doing boring things consistently. Think of the athlete who trains before sunrise. The investor who reads financial reports while others binge Netflix. The writer who edits the same paragraph 10 times until it's perfect. None of these are glamorous, but they move the needle. And that's what the 1% care about. Results, not feelings. Let's talk about failure. The average person avoids it like the plague. They fear it, run from it, hide behind excuses to dodge it. But the top 1% treat failure as data. It's not personal, it's information. Each mistake is a lesson, not a life sentence. Where others see rejection, they see redirection. Where others give up, they double down. Because they know the path to success is paved with setbacks, not shortcuts. The only real failure is quitting. Everything else is part of the process. Let's shift gears to identity. The 1% don't just do different things. They believe different things about themselves. They don't say, "I'll try to be disciplined." They say, "I'm the kind of person who finishes what I start." This subtle mental switch is massive. If you identify as someone who values health, you don't need motivation to go to the gym. If you see yourself as a builder, you'll create even when no one's watching. Identity leads behavior. The masses try to change what they do. The top 1% change who they are. Now, here's something else that separates them. They ask better questions, while the average person asks, "Why is this happening to me?" The top 1% ask, "What can I do with this?" One question traps you. The other empowers you. They also ask, "What am I missing?" They don't assume they know everything. They live in curiosity. That's why they keep evolving. Because they never let their ego block growth. They'd rather be wrong and improve than be right and stuck. Let's talk habits. The top 1% don't leave their lives up to chance. They engineer their days. They protect their mornings like treasure. They don't snooze alarms. They don't roll into the day reacting. They start with intention. They design routines that align with their vision. They make their environment serve their goals. No junk food in the house if they want to eat clean. No phone in reach if they want to focus. They make success easier to access and failure harder to fall into. They don't rely on willpower. They build systems. Willpower fades. Systems last. Most people set goals, but 1% build processes. They also practice ruthless prioritization. They don't do more, they do less. Better. They say no more often than yes, because every yes is a no to something else. The top 1% don't worship busy, they worship effectiveness. They don't fill their calendars to look important. They empty their calendars to make space for what matters. They know deep work beats shallow distraction. They measure progress, not how exhausted they feel. Now here's a truth that may sting. The 1% think differently about problems. Most people see a wall and stop. The top 1% look for a way over, under, around, or through. They don't wait for things to get easier, they get stronger. They aren't allergic to discomfort, they seek it. Because discomfort is the gym of the mind. Every rep of resistance builds resilience, and resilience is the foundation of lasting success. So here's the real question. Are you willing to think differently, to act against the grain? To become the kind of person who takes full ownership, who values long-term growth over short-term pleasure, who sees every failure as feedback, who chooses purpose over impulse, and who rewires their habits, identity, and environment to match their highest vision. Because that's what it takes. That's the cost of joining the 1%. It's not about perfection, it's about intention. It's about choosing to think like someone who's already there even if the results haven't caught up yet. You don't need $1 million idea. You need a mindset worth $1 million. That mindset starts with a choice. To stop living life like it's happening to you and start living like you're the one building it. The truth is, most people won't. Most people will hear this nod and go right back to sleepwalking through their lives. But just a few will wake up. They'll feel the fire and they'll start showing up differently, thinking differently, becoming someone new. Because the 1% isn't a club you join, it's a level you earn. Not with shortcuts, not with hacks, but with deep internal shifts, one decision at a time. And it starts right now. The next thought you think, the next choice you make, the next action you take, that's your opportunity to rise, to lead, to become someone who doesn't just admire success, but builds it. So stop asking what they do. Start asking how they think. Then become the person who thinks that way consistently. Because the top 1% don't think they're better. They think better. And now, so can you.